Hello students, today we will start a new chapter of civics, that is judiciary. So let us first know what is judiciary. It is a system of courts that interprets and applies the law in the name of the state. It is also the mechanism for the resolution of all types of disputes, be it a dispute between two persons, between the center and the state, or between an individual and the state. So for all this, we need a judiciary to settle the dispute. So its functions are, it settles disputes between people, between the government and the people, between the state and the government, and between the state and the center. It also upholds the rights of the citizens. The fundamental rights of the citizens are guaranteed by the Constitution, and for that we can go to the court if it is being violated, either by any other individual or by the state itself. So for that we can knock the door of the courts. It interprets the Constitution and has the power to declare a law null and void if it violates the principles of the Constitution. So these are all very important functions of the judiciary. In India, we have a rule of law, like we had already studied in Unit 2. And what did this mean? It means that the laws apply equally to all persons and that a certain set of fixed procedures need to be followed when a law is violated. To enforce this rule of law, we have a judicial system that consists of the mechanism of courts that a citizen can approach when a law is violated. As an organ of the state, the judiciary plays a crucial role in the functioning of India's democracy. It can play this role only because it is independent. So it plays a very crucial role in the functioning of India's democracy, or be it any democratic country. So in our country, judiciary is independent. This means that it is free from the control of other organs of the government. An independent and unbiased judiciary is the pivot of democracy. And here you can see the structure of the Indian judiciary, or structure of the courts in India. It is in a pyramid form with the Supreme Court at the top. Then we have the High Court in all the states and union territories. And then at the lower level we have the district courts. Here you can see, or the subordinate courts you can say, and under these subordinate courts there are civil courts, criminal courts, and other courts. The structure of courts in India, you can see there are different levels of courts in India. There are several courts at the lower level, while there is only one at the apex level, that means at the topmost level. And the courts that most people interact with are what are called the subordinate or the district courts, which a common man approaches. That is the district court or the subordinate court. These are usually at the district or tehsil level or in towns, and they hear many kinds of cases. Each state is divided into districts that are presided over by district judge. And then each state has a high court, which is the highest court of that state. At the top is the Supreme Court, that is located in New Delhi and is presided over by the Chief Justice of India. The decisions of the Supreme Court are binding on all other courts in India. In India, we have an integrated judicial system, meaning the decisions made by the higher courts are binding on the lower courts. Another way is through the appellate system that exists in India, about which I'll be explaining it. This means that a person can appeal to a higher court if they believe that the judgment passed by the lower court is not just. So for that he can appeal to a higher court. Let us study a few things about the Supreme Court of India in detail. So the Supreme Court is the highest court of justice in our country. It functions in New Delhi. It consists of a Chief Justice and 30 other judges. The President of India appoints the Chief Justice of India and all other judges of the Supreme Court, and the jurisdiction or about the functions of the Supreme Court, the powers. The Indian Supreme Court has original and appellate jurisdiction. By original jurisdiction, we mean that it gives it the power to hear cases for the first time, and then by appellate jurisdiction, this system means that a person can appeal to a higher court if they believe that the judgment passed by the lower court is not just, like I had explained earlier again. The decisions made by the Supreme Court are binding on all other courts in India. So whatever the decision the Supreme Court makes has to be followed by the lower courts. The Supreme Court gives its own advisory opinion if the President of India refers some article of the Constitution to it for this purpose. The Supreme Court maintains all the previous records of the cases, and this is the reason it is also a court of records. It's also known as a court of records because all the decisions given by Supreme Court can be referred to by the lower courts while making their decisions. All the judgment of the Supreme Court are duly recorded and preserved, which is treated as laws by all the lower courts. It is the final interpreter of the Constitution. Thus, in India, there is one uniform judicial system. And the qualifications of a Supreme Court judge are like he should be a citizen of India, and he should have been a judge of any high court for at least 5 years, or he should have been an advocate in a high court for 10 years, or he should be, in the opinion of the president, a distinguished jurist. And there is no fixed tenure of service for a judge. He continues in service till the completion of 65 years of age. Now let us study something about the high courts of India. India has 28 states and 9 union territories. The Constitution of India provides for a high court in each state. There can be a common high court for 2 or more states and union territories, meaning 2 states or union territories can share one high court. The High Court has a Chief Justice and a number of other judges. The Constitution has not fixed the number of judges for a High Court. The number of judges of a High Court is dependent upon the size and population of the state. All the judges of the High Court are appointed by the President of India, but for this he has to consult the Chief Justice of India, the Chief Justice of the state, and the Governor of the concerned state. The High Court is also a court of records, just like the Supreme Court. Its judgments are referred to by all the lower courts just as laws. It also supervises the lower courts in the state. It has jurisdiction against the decisions of the sessions courts in the state. The High Court also has original and appellate jurisdiction. So by this, we mean that by original jurisdiction, this lies with respect to revenue, elections, and regarding the enforcement of fundamental rights of the citizens. And by appellate jurisdiction of High Court, it applies to all the cases of the lower courts in the concerned state. Then High Court has jurisdiction against the decisions of the Sessions Court in the state. The revisory jurisdiction of a High Court pertains to the withdrawal of a case from the subordinate court. If there is some constitutional point involved in it, it can take up the case in question. So directly it can take up the case in question. So the High Court supervises the lower courts in the states as well, like I told you. Then we have the subordinate courts at the very lowest level. All the states in India are divided into districts. Every district has got many kinds of courts which decide both civil and criminal cases. In each district, the highest court is that of the district and sessions judge. He can hear civil suits and also appeal against the judgment of the lower courts. And as we know, the existing system of judiciary in India or the Indian courts, they take unusually long time to decide cases. The parties in dispute also have to spend lots of money. So to reduce the time and expenditure, a system of Lok Adalat has been started in our country. Under this system, the cases are decided speedily and without much expenditure. So the first Lok Adalat was held in Delhi in 1985, in which 150 cases were decided in a single day. Then there is also a system of legal aid. So under the legal aid scheme, the free legal services are made available to the weaker sections of the society. These include persons belonging to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, women, children, mentally ill and disabled people, and other economically poor people. So in the Indian judicial system or the Indian judiciary has made provisions even for the poorest of the poor or the very backward people, women, children, mentally ill and disabled. For them also there is provision to get legal aid. They get free legal services. The state makes it possible for them to have free legal advice and services. And the subordinate courts are known by different names. So these are the trial courts or the court of the district judges, the additional sessions judge, chief judicial magistrate, metropolitan magistrate, civil judge. So there are various names by which it is known. And talking about the high courts, they were first established in the three presidency cities of Calcutta, Bombay and Madras in 1862 during the British era. The British were ruling India and they had to make provisions for high courts. The High Court of Delhi came up in 1966, and like I told you, some of the states which share courts are Punjab and Haryana. They share a common High Court at Chandigarh, and the 7 northeastern states have a common High Court at Guwahati. So for today's video, we have studied about the Supreme Court, the High Court, the Subordinate Court, Lok Adalats. So please read the chapter and watch the video, whichever are being sent. Read the chapter thoroughly. And in the next video, we will study about the role of or the functions of the judiciary. Thank you, children.